Welcome to the Alkalign Lifestyle School, where luxury meets transformation, empowering elite minds and bodies to thrive as their authentic divine self. I'm your host and guide today, Fidelis Nuka II, and today's topic, we're going to talk about what causes disease. Let's get right into it. Okay, so disease, as people think, is caused by something that they catch, right? You can catch a disease from something on the outside that comes in and so you see people wearing masks, you see people doing all these things to protect themselves, or they think that it's protecting themselves, but they think that it's stopping them or providing them some sort of immunity to not catch a disease. But I'm going to teach you guys today as to how you are the creator of diseases inside your own body. And everything starts from the mind, okay? So let's break this down, all right? There's only two causes of disease. There's only two causes of disease. And I want you also to understand, if you split this word disease up, where you actually take this, so instead of writing disease, you write this on one side, and then you say dis-ease, all right? Meaning it's almost like a two-part thing. So you're the one that's gonna be responsible for this dis-ease that's happening or occurring inside of your body. Now, again, there's two causes of disease. Either the signal is bad that comes into your consciousness, or the proteins that make up you are bad. That's the only two causes. I'll define both. What is the signal? The signal is responsible for everything that occurs in your world. The signal is actually the invisible energy that you would call the field of space. This connective energy that's seen with the naked eye if you're aware of it, but it's not seen if you're not aware of it. If you're not aware of it, it's not available for you. But if you are aware of it, it is available for you. But it's there no matter what. So think of the signal as the 99.999% empty space that's all around you at every moment in time, point in space. Call it oxygen, call it air, whatever you want to call it, it's coming in through you. Each breath that you take, you're taking in the signal. So let's define it like that. If you're thinking of it in terms of breath, that's the signal. Now, that's one side of disease. The opposite side would be proteins. Now, you yourself are made up of proteins. A person, a human being, is already made up of proteins. So proteins are basically building blocks. They're BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. And they're a combination of nutrients, minerals, and all of this stuff goes into you to develop protein. And that's what basically makes up your DNA. So in terms of a protein and a signal, proteins are responsible for about less than 10% of all diseases. And you think about alterations in your DNA, alterations in your gene expression, those alterations have now been proven to be caused by epigenetic expression. Epigenetics is basically the study of you basically as the alteration, as the creator, as the alchemist of the DNA genes that are being expressed and read in the DNA. It's being read based upon your perceptions, meaning your beliefs. So this is what Bruce Lipton talks about as the biology of belief. Dr. Bruce Lipton studied this for about maybe 40 plus years, and he did it in the concept of stem cells. So the signal, which is coming from the outside, if you think about a self-driving car, right? A Tesla, or in LA, we have the Waymo, like the Jaguar company, they have self-driving cars where you literally can call an Uber as a Waymo with no driver to come pick you up and they take you wherever you need to go. There's no driver. So what are you thinking is driving the car? Well, when you go into the car, you can literally see the scan of the outer environment all on the screens inside of the car. It's all of the sensors. The sensors can tell from a person walking on the sidewalk, from a biker on the side of the vehicle, from the opposite cars that are coming in. Teslas do it too. They have sensors all over. Now you have sensors too, as a person, as a human being. Your sensors, you're gonna say eyes to see, you have 2 ears to hear, you have your 2 nostrils and your nose to smell, you have your tongue to taste, you have your hands to touch, you have your feet to touch. You have sensors all over. And the main one that you have is the skin. The skin. And your skin is therefore connected to your brain. All of your sensors are built into the actual skin of you as a person. Because whenever it takes in whatever is coming in from the environment, the signal, okay, it's then going to get a printout of the data, the input that's going into you, and now you're going to have an output on the screen of space. But let me remind you, as I said, that 99.999% empty space, that percent is actually plasma. It's plasma. It's a plasma field. Now, where else is plasma located? It's located inside the blood. Plasma is located inside your blood. You have blood plasma, which is made up of 92% water and 8% the solute, which is minerals, vital minerals, and nutrients, and hormones, and just all types of things that are made up inside of your body because your body makes and creates the chemicals. So these things, right, are what bathe the cells inside of your body to then create the projection that's going out into 99.999% screen of space. So your reality is being based upon what's going in, what chemically is being made based upon your perceptions, your beliefs, and how you are seeing your life and your world and how you are feeling, because you're controlling that, okay? So proteins then are alterations in the DNA and defects in the genetics, but only 5% of the entire world is born with birth defects. So how is 95% of the world born healthy and happy, but you have so many people who die every single year? How do you become sick? Okay, well, back to the signal. Now there's 3 ways to affect the signal. And you affect the signal based on trauma, which is a physical stress. You have toxins, which is a chemical stress. And you have thought, which is an emotional stress. Now let me also define stress before we start. Now you have 2 types of stress. You have distress and you have eustress. So you do have good stress. Good stress would be exercise. Exercise like, sports or hiking or swimming or weightlifting or, that's actually a good stress. Those stresses are things that move the lymph through your entire system from down to up, from up to down. And lymph is actually just the liquid filtration of the blood plasma. And what it does is it recycles. So your body is like this beautiful ecosystem that is the most sustainable thing in this entire universe is your body. Because what it does is it continues to go and put back the nutrients and the minerals and things that you need from the blood, from the lymph, from waste material. It separates it itself. You have like a constant washing machine 24/7, 365. You have a lymphatic system. Now that's combined from blood plus interstitial fluid that's inside of the body. But now on top, meaning above the heart and then into the head, you also have a lymphatic system. This system is you can say the washing machine or like the dishwasher, right? Because it's a different kind of soap, it's a different mechanism, but does the same thing, okay? This is gonna be interstitial fluid combined with cerebral spinal fluid that comes from the base of your spine to the top of your head. So you have spinal fluid mixed with interstitial fluid that goes into your head, and then you also have blood mixed with interstitial fluid that goes into your body. This is what's taking the waste and all of the material, and it's just recycling it all the way through. You have lymph nodes all the way from your head all the way down to your feet. And those are what filter out all the bad things and the pathogens that are causing you to get sick. So you have those two types of stress. But that, I said, stress was positive stress, like exercise, sports, and hiking, swimming, right, weightlifting. And then you have distress. Where does this come from? Distress is going to be something that stops you from going forward, stops you from going to your destiny. That's going to be doubts. That's going to be fear or destructive interference. Because what happens to a person when they have doubts, fear, destructive interference is they now have a distress that's coming into their system, right? Creating bad chemical that's stopping them from going forward in life. Now you're going against growth. So one key that you're going to learn about cells, because your body is made up of, yes, 50 trillion cells. That's what your body's made of. Your gut microbiome is also responsible for the remainder. So cells move towards growth signals and move away from negative signals. They can be in either one of them, but they can't be in both. So your cells can either be in growth or they can be like in a repair, meaning they have to pull back. They can be going forward or they can be going backwards. You can be hitting on the gas, you can be pushing on the brake. So you can be going forward or you can be going in reverse. That's pretty much it. So you're growing or you're dying. All right, there's just two things. So cells are going to go towards constructive interference and move away from destructive interference. Now this is what you talk about in terms of vibration, sound, frequency, and vibration. Good vibes, cells move towards good vibes. Cells move away from bad vibes. Now that we defined the two causes, which is signals and proteins, and then the main cause, because I said 10% defects in your genetics, less than 10%. So what about 90%? Well, the 90% is based on the signal. It's based on the signal from the field. And as I said, the field is 99.999% plasma. That's what it is. Now, I'm comparing this plasma inside this field to the actual field on the inside of you. You are 99.999%. It's you. So the 90% is based upon the stress, because stress is what affects the signal. So if you're going to affect the signal physically with a physical trauma, say you fall off of you're standing on a table or you're on a ladder and you fall off the ladder and you scrape your knee or you sprain your ankle, if you're playing a sport. That's going to be a physical trauma that's going to affect the signal coming in. If you've ever been injured before, if you ever had like a broken arm or something happened to you, right? You're going to be affecting the signal because you're obviously going to be in pain. You're going to be in repair at this moment in time. So the signal won't be coming in as it normally would because you're hurt. You see? So that's going to be one thing that affects the signal. Physically, it's going to be a trauma. Then you have toxins that also can affect the signal. These toxins can include, well, now you look at toxins and say, anything that comes into your body chemically. So if you put in drugs, if you put in, obviously, alcohol, things like that of that nature, pretty much any pharmaceutical drugs at this moment in time are actually toxins. So they may have a program of, they may tell you that it's a positive thing, it's a positive outcome, but it's still actually a toxin, not something that's naturally made. It's just something that's synthetic, that's created. It's a toxin. So if you eat fast food, and you understand that most fast food in this country, in the Western world, is laced with MSG, monosodium glutamate, that's a toxin. That toxin causes addictive responses, effects inside of your body. So if you eat meat that has E. coli or bad bacteria inside of it, and it creates food poisoning, things that create food poisoning. Okay, well that food poisoning was caused because they had toxins inside of it you consumed. If you drink alcohol is inherently poisonous. So as soon as it comes to your body, you're drinking a poison. When the poison comes into your body, immediately you have a chemical toxic response. So toxins are chemical. But then this is the one that no one talks about, but it's obviously is the most prevalent, and that's thought. Thought is an emotional stress that is blocking the signal. If you have a bad thought process, if you have a negative thought process, this negative thought process that you have constantly, daily, just on the regular, this negative thought process is what's blocking this signal from coming in to your body in a purified form. That's what means whenever you're changing essentially the environment. See, cells grow based upon environment. So if your cells are based inside of an environment of nutrients, right, or healthy minerals, things of that nature, those cells are going to grow and form something. Maybe they're going to grow and form protein. Maybe they're going to grow and form bone. Maybe they're going to grow and form tissues. If they're in whatever environment that they're in, that's what they're going to form. But then if you put something that's negative inside the environment, right? And by environment, I'm defining the environment as your blood, okay? So in this case, your cells are going to be inside your blood. So again, your blood is based upon your plasma, because your plasma is what carries all this information based on nutrient, hormone, mineral, vitamins. It's all being carried through your body and to your essential organs based upon the blood plasma. So this environment of the blood plasma that's bathing the cells, all right, that's bathing those cells, whatever environment that you're creating for that plasma, all right, and for those cells bathing inside that plasma to work or not work or lack thereof, it's going to cause the response. And so based upon the thought process, your thought process can alter the DNA based on epigenetic control. That means control above the genes, meaning you control the genes. So you're the puppet master for your own body. It's you. No one's making you do anything. The person that's making you do everything is you. If you aren't able to be vulnerable in this case, which is essentially the state of being open, all right, being open to being damaged, to being wounded, to being emotionally hurt or physically hurt. Mind you, I told you about cells moving towards growth. Cells have to be open in order to move towards growth. I mean, you have to be open to receive something. If you're not open, then you're closed off to everything. So if you're not open to receiving something, say the love that's coming from this 99.999% all around you, just free energy all around you. If you aren't open to it, you're going to shield yourself from receiving it. You're going to stop yourself and block yourself from receiving it. There is no growth if you don't open yourself up to growth. This is why people say you need to go towards being uncomfortable, because you're never actually going to grow if you don't start off a process, or if you're not actually really good at something. So this is how I'm determining what happens with people with disease. You're supposed to be moving. You're supposed to be growing. It doesn't matter if you're not good at it. You're going to get good at it just by consistency. It doesn't matter. When you see a young, a child or baby or a puppy or, a kitten or like just a young person in general, like just brand new, they don't know anything. They're downloading everything from the environment. And that environment's based on their culture, where they're from, what they are. So you may be black but grow up in a white family. You may be white but grow up in a black family. This is like the modern way I'm talking about how people suffer from disease. Based upon culture, you don't even know what you are until you go to the mirror and then you realize, oh, this was being directed by society. So now society is guiding me towards who I'm supposed to be or who I think I'm supposed to be. Now I'm playing this role. And so now I'm either going to be open to something that's coming or I'm going to be closed off to something that's coming. It's based upon my belief pattern. You can say the church, religion. These things are driving someone's thought process. So what they're driving is someone's perceptions, meaning their beliefs. And this perception is the switch that accepts the signal. The signal's coming from all the time, everywhere, every moment in time, point in space. All right? But you may be walking with the closed-minded. You may be walking with a closed-minded attitude toward life. saying this is the only way that this is going to work. This is the only way I'm going to be able to make this thing happen. It has to happen my way. It has to be my way, or it's not anyway. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how nature works. Okay? You have to be open to receiving whatever information is coming out from the field, and if you're open to it, you're going to be able to receive that thing in an instant. You just have to have an open belief. But most people have such negative beliefs that they aren't open. And that's also what's causing disease. So your thoughts are responsible mainly for about 90% of the stresses. It's coming based upon thought. And then when you go to the doctor, they give you chemicals, which is then going into toxins. So now you have two things that are altering the signal. And usually if you have bad thoughts and you have toxics inside of your body, you're going to be hurt somehow physically. So now you just ruined the signal, all based upon your perception and your beliefs. That's what's going on. That's what causes you to have a low vibration. That's what's causing you to be sick. And that's what's causing you to create disease instead of making you sick. Sickness is not having a fever, okay? Having a fever is a symptom based upon like a gauge. So if you have diarrhea, right? Or if you have a fever, a cough, sneeze, your body's attempting to help you to release these things out of your body. So you're getting mad that you have diarrhea. You're getting mad that you have that you have a headache or something like that. That's a response to whatever you're doing. You're causing that. So if you have a migraine, first of all, you're probably dehydrated because you've been concentrating so much. You burned off all the water inside of your body because your brain uses the most water inside of your body. It goes right to your brain. 18 to 20% of all the water inside your body goes to your brain. So it's a large amount, even though the brain is not that large of an organ, consider all the rest of your organs inside your body. But it takes up the most water inside of your body. So there's different things because you're holding so much tension. You're holding so much energy in these spaces because of the fact that you want to control life, but you can't. You're not supposed to want to control life. You're here to enjoy it. You're here to enjoy life. That's all it is to it. So now, based upon this signal, all right, in response to these stresses, there is something called the HPAA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. This is what is going to be, it's something like the gatekeeper that's going to send out the signals to either cause you to be in growth or repair. It's coming from the HPA axis. What does the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis do? Essentially, the hypothalamus is what's interpreting what's going on based upon a perception. It sends a signal to your pituitary, which is going to be your crown chakra, which is going to be what they call the master gland, because the crown chakra is based upon feeling, how you feel, the magnet that's drawing in your experiences. If you activate this pituitary, because this HPA axis, once it goes from the pituitary, it goes to the adrenals. The adrenals are responsible for fight or flight. That's the stress hormones. And what happens from the adrenals is the adrenals go down. They go offline, and then they close down the gut, your visceral organs. So listen, whenever you're in fight or flight mode, what happens when you're in fight or flight mode is you take blood from the visceral organs. What are the visceral organs? They're soft organs, okay? So you would say the heart, the abdomen, the gut, the intestines, the things that hold blood inside for processes like peristalsis, digestion, okay? Because you need to have energy. So one of the main things that the viscera does is they have these mechanisms that they use, and in terms of all the organs combined, they have a process of enabling you to digest food, extract energy from food, create ATP, which is energy. All these things are in this area, pretty much here, right here, this area. All right, you got the lungs included, you got the abdomen, you got the gut, you got the intestines, etc. whenever you have the blood that's in these areas inside the viscera, once you all of a sudden get a stress response based upon your perception, what you believe, it may not be that bad at all. No, but in your world, this is the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Well, all of a sudden you just create a stress response. So now you just told the hypothalamus to tell the pituitary, that told the adrenals that you're now in fight or flight. So now you changed systems. Now you went from being in growth and repair to now you're in fight or flight. You're in stress. You're responding based upon stress. You don't repair yourself in stress. Okay, so growth and repair is on one side. Fight or flight is on the opposite side because you're running away from something. You're running away because you're scared, because it's fear. You're trying to get away from something. So all of a sudden you're trying to get away from something that's going to cause you harm. See? Because you're not open anymore. Now you're closed. You were open, but now after you said, I'm going to get hurt, the vulnerability that you had is now shut off. So now there's no more growth and repair. Now it's just fight or flight. So what happens in this? You take blood from your visceral organs, okay? And how can I tell you this works? Butterflies in your stomach. When you have butterflies in your stomach, that's when your blood is being taken from your visceral organs and it's being moved to the arms and to the legs, so that now you have the response towards stress, right? It's supposed to be fight or flight. So now it's going to the arms because you got to fight. Or now it's going to the legs because you got to run. So now you got to pick one. See, you got to pick one based upon your perception. What is it? All right? Is it fight or flight? Is this going to be a danger to me? Or is this an asset to me? It's based upon the way that you're thinking about life. It's you. So if you don't think about life in a positive mental attitude, well, it's impossible. It's impossible for you to have a wonderful life. It doesn't matter about you having things. Things don't do anything. You can have the most money. You can have the nicest cars. I'm not saying that you don't need to have that. I'm saying you do need to have that. But how you have that, you shouldn't have a castle and have 10 cars if you can't walk without inflammation inside your body, or you can't sit still, or your thought process is so negative because you have a bad entanglement, and it doesn't make sense. How are you going to enjoy the things that you've already gotten? The fruits of your labor are already gone. And mainly, I believe, it comes from people not understanding what they're taking in chemically. I believe it's a chemical thing, mainly a chemical thing, because your thoughts create chemicals. Every time you have a thought, you create a chemical. If you have a great thought, you create a great combination of chemicals inside your body. When you have a negative thought, you create an awful combination of chemicals inside your body. And so what happens is you can go from a cortisone response on one side, or immunoglobulin A, which is called IgA, which is like a growth and repair hormone that comes in. You can secrete either side. You can go to cortisone, which is inflammation response, right? Or you can go to IgA, which is growth and repair. Just based upon your perceptions. So again, is it the proteins? No, it's not the proteins. That's not it. So you don't need to go buy a big tub of protein shakes, shaking it up and put it inside your body. You don't need all that. You already got proteins because you're made up of proteins. And the ones that you already got aren't even working correctly because you aren't using them correctly. You aren't being efficient with your own mind and your own body. Once you get to understand that the signal that's being created from the plasma that's outside, which is in response to what's inside of you going through your veins, that plasma that's going through those veins of yours, right? It's running and taking all what you've been putting inside your body and it's feeding it. It's providing these things for you, all right? Because it's providing the environment for the cells to either grow and repair or to either shrink. And then they create something you don't want. See, it's electric. Your cells have a charge. So if you're looking at your universe as electric universe, then you'll realize that if you don't have any electricity, you don't have any energy. And so you have a negative charge on your cells. And usually people have not enough electrons inside their body. So this is where the struggle that people are seeing based upon day to day. They don't start off grounded. They don't drink the right water, which should be a negatively charged, negatively ionized charged water at this moment. All right, they don't eat the right food because the food that they're eating is based on acidity. It's not based on alkalinity. They don't have any energy inside that food. So it's not electric. There's no charge. You see what I'm saying? And then also what they're talking to themselves every single day, it's negative. Overwhelmingly negative. Now you've probably seen these studies that they do. They take like bots and like AI bots, and they want to see, if they stick this AI thing inside, they can basically track all of the comments, and basically they can track the collective consciousness of all the people all around. They've done it multiple times. That's why you'll see that most of the creators of the Twitter, all right, and the social media accounts, they don't really use social media because they notice how negative, overwhelming it is. It's negative because of the people that come into it and who's using it, and overwhelmingly that the world is critical and negative, and they interfere with people destructively. They're wishing for bad things for people because their inner environments are so toxic. Their inner environments are so toxic, it's creating a toxic world for them on the outside. And that is where you see the harm, the disharmony because of the distress. So let me break this down. There's two causes of disease. It's a signal or the proteins. Either this one, either this one. I told you that proteins are alterations in your DNA, defects in your genetics, but less than 10% of all disease is caused by proteins. But they actually, scientists say now, it's more likely that it's less than 1%. Less than 1%. That's what they're saying, like less than 1%. So again, proteins are basically BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, in combination with vital nutrients, minerals, and hormones, and basically the chemical environment. Proteins are, because your DNA is essentially genes that are red, blueprints that are red, and it's activating the gene for blue eyes or the gene for green eyes or whatever it is. It's being read by you based upon your perception and your belief. This is based on epigenetic control. That means that it's control above the genes, meaning you control the genes. You're the puppet master for yourself. But mainly, the next side, the signal, is the main cause. Either you have a physical trauma, trauma from something like a physical injury. You have a chemical trauma, something like a toxic chemicals that come into your body, or you have emotional trauma based upon thought. So one thing that you can't stop doing, you can't stop thinking. There's no way for you to stop thinking, because we're all connected to one frequency, one station that we're connected to. We can look at each channel. We can change the channel. We can change the station on the channel. But what I'm telling all of you is that you need to understand your body has to be purified and your mind has to be purified before you can get to the right channel. You're gonna go to pick all these different channels, and all the channels are based upon the environment. So you have a reference set, again, and a preference set. Your reference set is the knowledge that you already have. Your preference set is knowledge that you would like to obtain. So basically saying, I have this house, I live in this city, right? I drive this car, I make this money, but I'd like to live in this house, and I like to live in this city. I like to drive this car. My reference set is where I currently live. My preference set is where I would like to live. What you gotta do is flip it and say, where I would like to live is where I currently live now. But that's based upon a feeling place. That's what's called the law of inverse transformation. The feeling place. If I understand that I have to actually feel like it's already done, there's an inverse. And what flips this plasma on the outside is it now shapes and creates those thought processes that you created for yourself. See? So disease can then go from dis-ease to all of a sudden, it can go to what causes health. We're talking about what causes a diseased body. Now let's talk about what causes a healthy body. The same thing, in reverse. Now you understand placebo effects, which is basically like your belief that says this thing right here that's coming to me is going to work. You also have a nocebo effect that says what's coming to me is not going to work. So if I take this, I'm going to die. If I take this, I'm going to live. That's essentially what placebo and nocebo is. If somebody comes to me and says, you have 5 months to live, right? You got stage 4 cancer, you got 5 months to live, after that it's all over. If I have a nocebo effect to what just came in to my energy field, to what just came in, because the sensors, again, are built into my skin. The ears, I just heard something, right? It came into the sensors into my ears, and that went into my brain. I processed it. That input data came into my brain, now through the ears, and I processed it. If I believe it's a negative thing, I got 5 months to live. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. I'm not gonna make it. Okay. You're probably gonna die in 3 months. You probably won't even make it to 5 months. That's a nocebo effect, a negative effect from what comes in. But say somebody says, okay, hey, you're going to, die in 5 months. All right. Look, I'm sorry, you got stage 4 cancer. We can't help you, so we don't know what to do. And you just say, you know what? Man, my life's just been hard. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. And you just get up and just go move somewhere and you just go out there and start playing and then just doing all these wonderful things, start doing all these wonderful, just joyful things. All of a sudden you do that, you change the perspective, and you change your perception about what's going on in your life. Once you do that, all of a sudden, that 5 months, and that 5 months is gonna go to 5 years. It's probably gonna go to 50 years. And then you're gonna get rid of the cancer, all because of a placebo effect. Because it's based upon perception. You started to create a different level of chemical. So that toxin, those toxins, and that thought, that changed the environment. You just said, I'm not gonna live like this no more. It's not worth it. I'm already sick. So just let the creator take over. And it did. Once you allow yourself, see, you have to surrender. Life is about surrender. There's no control in any of this. Life is about you coming up to this game that you're playing called life, and you have to surrender to it. Once you make that decision to now surrender to life, to now surrender to the joys that life has given you, and you start to do it based upon intentionality. That's the other cause, intentionality. You have to actually say with intention, whatever I say, I'm going to create. So you have to be consciously aware of what's going on, because that's it. See? So what is the actual, and I'll express it like this. When somebody says, when someone says perceptions, what are your actual perceptions? What does the word perception even mean? Perception is basically the state of being or process of becoming aware of something through your senses. That's what perception is. I'll say it again. The state of being or process of becoming aware of something through the senses. So the ability to see, to hear, or become aware of something through your senses. That's it. You're basically taking in the environment, and that's the perception. That's it. So how you're taking in the environment is the switch that tells you what you're going to create. Either a eustress or a distress. Some people hate exercising. They associate pain with exercise. But why? If you knew the benefits of it, you would say, this is the most wonderful thing I can do for my body. You can take an energy drink, or you can go exercise. Which one you think is gonna be the better one? Exercise. The energy drink ain't it. See? But if you associate pain with that, you won't do it. If you associate pleasure with it, you'll love it. See? So that's where you start to look at yourself and say, what do I actually believe? What are my perceptions? So that's it. Think about money. People who don't believe in credit, people who don't believe in assets, people who don't believe in going to, you don't own anything. Essentially, we're just renting our space here and our time here. So you see these people talk about, how to use credit to your advantage. Well, people probably weren't taught like that back in the past. So they were thinking of it in a different way. People don't invest in anything. They just go to work, exchange their time, and they get some money. Because that's how they were taught, based upon their perception. They're thinking, I have to do this in order to get this. But they don't understand that they can create something that does it for them automatically. And they still get this, but they use their mind to do it. See, you don't have to use your physical body to do it. You're gonna burn out. Eventually you're gonna burn out. You won't be able to use your hands no more, your legs no more. If you keep on doing that and not replacing that energy, you should probably just use your mind. You see what I'm saying? If you think about your mind is your mind, if you think about it, your mind is a supercomputer that can answer any question for you at any moment in time, point, and space. You want to be happy? Ask your mind. Your mind's gonna tell you. But the problem is, like I told you before, people aren't open. They aren't open. Their cells aren't open. So when their mind gives them the answer, they say, no, that ain't it. That's not it. But the Creator uses everything outside of you to influence you. So once you actually accept that there's two forms of disease and that you are the cause of your own disease, based upon your perception of the stress that's coming in, your perception of the outer world. When you make a thought, when you have a thought, you create a chemical. So at every moment in time and point in space, you're creating chemicals. So what I'm telling you is, if you can change the environment chemically, all of a sudden, you're going to now influence the thought. So here's how we go to break this down. First of all, you got to heal yourself. So if you have physical trauma, but if you go in and change the environment, like I told you, you can have some blood environments that make bone or some blood environments that make tissue. Changing your cellular environment of your blood plasma. So now the most important thing becomes blood, because blood is that carry the information. If I can change what's going on inside your blood, I can change your thought process, which then is going to influence your healing, open you up to growth and repair, okay? And then it's going to change these doubts and this fear and destructive interference and cause you to go this way, to use stress, exercise, sports, hiking, positive vibes, positive thoughts. And then your HPA axis, instead of constantly going towards your adrenal glands, going towards fight or flight and turning off and closing the gut down and taking the blood away from the visceral organs, it's going to allow those to go back to the visceral organs. So now you have peristalsis. Now you have digestion. Now you have energy creation, right? Now you have your lymphatic system getting cleansed, your lymphatic system being cleansed. Now you have a different way of looking at this. How do we do this? So the answer to how do I change my chemical environment, this is what I developed as the answer. The answer is you need to place some new plasma, some new blood. And this is what I did based upon my herbal formula: awaken, replenish, and platinum ascension. What I did was I formulated a new formula that consists of cymatics, so basically on sound frequencies. All right, it has 12 mineral cell salts, the building blocks of actual life, and it has 17 alkalizing herbs that are here to cleanse your system, free from toxicity, and just purify the system and the blood and the plasma to get your system to start working again. All of a sudden, it's working again. Your torus field is going to now be able to expand, and now your consciousness is going to be able to elevate. And now your perceptions, your state of being, your process of understanding, interpreting things around you, your mental impression, and becoming aware of something through your senses is going to be heightened. Now you're going to change it. Click a link in my description to purchase your Awaken, your Replenish, or your Platinum Ascension today and get started not only raising your consciousness, but changing your inner environment, going from fight or flight, stress response, towards growth and repair, health response. I also have a Become Alkalign Challenge at the end of every month. If you guys are looking for more information, more knowledge, and if this video helped you guys, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace.